you pay for the car.
The car.
So that's why I'm saying but you still remain with profit. That's why I'm saying for an investor, it might not be a good thing to take 500,000 and go and
buy a car
the car cash while you can do an investment that can generate enough money for you to service the debt of a car and still you remain with a profit.
And still have your initial investment.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take. Got no votes to make, we don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. African man, yeah. African man, oh. The African male iris through the eye of an African male.
On chapter 6, when you talked about investments, like you're saying, saving is a short-term strategy, while investment are long-term.
Yes.
Right? Then you mentioned about our salaries becoming weaker.
Oh, yeah.
Hence, I think the drive for investment.
Oh, yes.
Maybe just elaborate on that, on the salaries becoming weaker and maybe the investment opportunities that people can look into as well.
Yeah, with myself in the beginning, I realized that I was saving a lot. And then I realized that even though I'm so good with saving, things are moving slower than I thought. So I'm still saving, but I feel like the growth it's not good enough.
Okay.
So I had to reach a place where I decide to say, am I going to continue just saving, or I'm going to invest? Because it's one thing to manage an income. Managing an income is just one leg. You are just managing this income. If you are getting 10,000, you are managing it so well. It's good you are managing it well for you to run throughout the whole month. But because there's inflation and things are becoming more expensive, next year, that 10,000, even though you are managing it, you'll start feel like it's becoming smaller and smaller. You are losing the value of that money. So it's very important that you introduce the growing of the income, which comes now in form of investment, to say, what can I do in order for me to generate an extra income so that it's not just this 10,000. I'm getting something else somewhere. Then that's when I decided to say which strategy for me I feel like is good. And when I talk about property, I'm not saying everyone must go and do property investment. You can do your own form of investment that will generate money. And for somebody, it can be just to start a salon. It's an investment. You are investing in that. You are making a return, and then you are also having profit. So it can be anything. It can be starting an eatery for somebody. I'm not saying everyone must just be a property investor. But for me, the one that I felt like it was safe and it doesn't require a lot of my efforts, it was property investment, because I'm still working a 9 to 5. I have my own
time consuming now.
9 to 5. So property is like, I don't have to go really to my property. It can take 3 months without going to the properties, because you can come up with strategy in which it can run without you being involved. So I felt like for me, the best one, it's property. Then I started investing in property.
Okay. That sounds good. And I think the same advice you were giving for or the same notion you mentioned about the vehicles, purchasing a vehicle.
Yes.
You also mentioned that when first home buyers.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Some of these things I know my brother mentions. he's the intellect of the family. So you mentioned that for first-time home buyers, what you need to look at are the condition of the property, the location, the size, the restrictions, and the rent market value. Rent market value, service delivery, and area development. I would be lying if I said I considered all those aspects when I got my first house. So I guess this applies also to whether it's also a new property or
or you also want to use it for investment and
purposes,
yes.
If it's someone who it's a property that someone is selling, who was a previous owner and things like that. But what would be the recommendation? Because of course, coming into you always attracted by the new developments.
Oh yeah.
Naturally.
But new developments are actually quite expensive, as compared to
the old ones.
But
what I've realized these days is that new development is like the stand size is becoming smaller and smaller, but the old houses are the ones which you get the stand.
Oh, yes.
Because for me, when I'm thinking about investment, I'm not thinking about the house that I found there. I'm thinking about what can I do on that stand.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So I'm not worried about the size of the house, because the size of the house I can change it anytime, but I can't change the size of the land. Yep. So I look at that to say I want the land to be big. So that I can be able to do developments. Okay. And then obviously the demand it's critical. I was talking to somebody yesterday. She was telling me the same thing, or she has a land, she doesn't know what to do. And I'm asking her, how's the demand? She says she has asked people, and people are saying the demand is poor in that area. Then I realize, she already has the land, but she can't do much with it. Maybe she has to wait for the next 30 years for developments to go that side. And then that's when she can be able to do something. Which you realize, if you want to do an investment now, it's better to go to places where there is already demand there. Where the moment you finish the project, you know that you're going to be having the tenants.
Okay.
Interesting. So you touched on size there. You touched on location. The condition, I guess, it also depends on the amount of money you are willing to invest to improve that property. Because that can also be very taxing. Okay. Service delivery, you're referring to what the government...
Service delivery as in like electricity and your sewer. Because sometimes you go to an area, you find that it's overpopulated. Like there's a lot of people there, and the services are always failing. You find you don't finish 2 weeks with the electricity. You are always saving those, which can impact your investment. Now you've got this investment, but tenants will be complaining every time to say we are always not having electricity. Such things. So you need to know that this place. It's well maintained.
But that's actually a common problem that's happening now, that we've got too many buildings and structures in these neighborhoods.
I'm curious. It's an interesting point. I'm curious because even in the area we're in, there were plots. Now the plot owners are selling them off, and maybe the plot was meant for a family of 6. Now you've got 100 units coming up on that plot. I don't know if the city COJ is I don't know if expanding. If you look at things like piping and all those things, the sewer and all that.
I guess that's
do they cater for that development as it happens? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
They are supposed to
on resources.
They are supposed to cater for such things, to say maybe you had this electricity, they say no, this one is not sufficient, you have to now change to this phase. And then even the pipelines to say no, the water line that is coming to you, it's let's say 25 millimeter pipe. You can't have that. You must increase to 60. They must have those kind of
when they apply.
When you apply, it should be conditions of approval to say we won't approve this development without you doing this and that. Yes. That's why in some development you find them even expanding the streets where they are like, no, these lanes are not enough for you to do this development. Now you must expand.
Okay.
Yes.
I think for me, the one thing that always gets me is the property value, or the property market value, that is, because obviously that changes over time.
Yes.
So when you're purchasing your property, it might have a high market value then, but it erodes as the years go by. So how do you sort of balance, the future, or what you anticipate to be the future property value, market value,
good question,
and what it is now?
They always say if you are an investor, you must always like listen to news, watch things like Sona. What do they call it? Sona, Sona. You must listen to such things because they will be saying, okay, in this area,
State of the Nation address.
They'll be saying in this area, we are bringing smart city, for example, in Lanseria. They're saying they are bringing smart city there. Then in your mind, it tells you that if I'm going to buy in this place, the value of the property is going to rise. So those are the kind of things you do, the researches you do. And then sometimes you must just not hold on to a property in such a way that it become you are emotionally attached to the property. Because there's some place where there's some place where you can see where things are starting to turn around. It's starting to be like, let's say, informal settlement and so on. Then you have to now sell that property, but you find the owner of the property is holding on to the property until it's too late. By the time you decide to sell, the value is way less.
Because I had a conversation with a friend, and he was telling me that you should have a 5-year strategy of flipping houses. So because he was saying houses are pretty much becoming like they're no longer assets; they're now liabilities because they depreciate in value. So obviously because of the advent of new development areas and etc. So for example, if houses that used to cost $1 million in Florida, for example, right now it's probably costing half the price. You know where I'm coming from, but and this is what maybe over a period of about 10-20 years. So had you flipped it after 5 years and bought a new development, and then you kept on, buying and flipping, you'd still have maintained or maybe even appreciated the value of your initial investment.
Interesting.
So buying and flipping, it's a good strategy. Especially if you are that person who's now even going to auctions to say, I'm going to look for property in auctions where you are getting all these houses where people are divorcing and or repossess the houses where you are getting them at less. Because it's possible for you to buy a house and then you go and you say, I'm going to do renovations on this house. Then you do renovations. But after you finish, the value now of the property, it's higher than the value of the area. You are not able to sell that property now because you have over-invested on the property.
So next door is but no, next door they're offering much less. They're much less than you.
So you also have to know that when you are buying, you have to buy way below market value. So that whatever you are going to put on the renovations,
makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. You did the 2 chapters where you wrote a letter to ladies, and the letter to jets.
We had a quick discussion about that earlier.
I think we'll start with the ladies one.
I think the ladies one is more interesting. That's really spark a debate.
So I see you're encouraging the ladies. Maybe you can just elaborate in short.
When I was writing the book, I thought these chapters are going to really offend a lot of women and a lot of men. But for some reason, you find women who are giving me reviews saying, actually, this chapter is my favorite chapter. But I was just talking about women to say, as a woman, you need to work for yourself and not depend fully on somebody else. And I've had a friend that I know that she was dating somebody who's the owner of a company. And then they go and they give her a position. She went to university, but they just gave her a position there in a company.
Because of that guy?
Yeah, because of the owner of the company, because she was dating him. But it was good in the beginning to say they gave her a job. But later on, she was not getting promotions and so on. She's just sitting,
sitting
in the
there.
she's just sitting in the same place, and then there is no more growth of a career. So I was saying, don't make dating to distract the growth of your career.
Okay.
You must always separate Mujolo from the from the growth of your career. And I also know somebody, because I talk to a lot of people, which is obvious because I'm always talking about finance and so on.
Yes.
So this one, she was told to say, can you resign so that you come and help me in the company? So the boyfriend has a company, which is saying, can she leave her own job and then she comes and help him with the...
It's not a husband. It's not, it's not a husband yet.
But they move together. They move
they are living together.
Yes.
All right.
And then they move together, and then she had a car. But later on, she didn't have a car anymore. Okay. It's like the moment she get involved in an accident or something, he didn't get to repair the car. He just said, okay, the car, it's gone. And then she's staying there, you are eating there. So he doesn't feel the need to really pay a lot of money because you stay here.
He's already taking care of her. Okay, I get you.
And then later on, when she was talking to me, she was saying, I regret leaving the company. I'm even thinking now of looking for a job. So those kind of things, they make you to realize that a lot of women, they are sacrificing the growth of their company for the sake of a relationship. So I was saying we should be careful in those things. Yeah. And then again, as a person, you want to achieve a lot for yourself in such a way that if you are in a relationship where you are being abused, you don't stay in that relationship because you are thinking of what you would lose.
For financial reasons.
So now you can be able to make up a decision to say, I'm leaving this relationship and it doesn't affect what you will be eating tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
So it's very important for you to
have that
financial independence.
It's interesting, because I think we've had a lot of discussions here.
Very controversial
on the podcast.
Put us in a lot of trouble.
And we've had women that come. We have a lot of female guests that come through. And this has been a topic, consistent topic of having a career woman.
Okay.
When you're looking at career woman and also looking at marriage and family. It's always been a bit of a back and forth in terms of how far can how far can you go?
Yes.
How in terms of the man leading and him progressing.
Okay.
Would you leave the man to then expand his career? Then you
become a family.
Yeah, she won't. Then of course you can't be both CEOs. In an ideal world, if you understand what I'm saying, like from a household perspective.
At what point would a woman compromise the growth of her career to support the family?
And I think you also being a person of God, I'm sure you understand in terms of the family setup.
Yes.
And those are the kind of discussions we've had on the podcast. And I don't think there's been a conclusion.
Of course.
Yeah, considering also now we're in the times
we're talking about income of a family. I don't think as a man, it's a must that you must be making more money, according to me.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. I feel like being a leader is not about having a lot of money.
Okay.
And being a leader is not about a position.
Okay.
It's like people who can come to you and say, you are a leader based on the way you do things around you, the way you manage your life, the way you are doing things. That's the way I see leadership. For me, leadership is not about being a leader at where I'm working in the municipality. I can be a leader in the society without having a higher position at the municipality. But what I was saying was, you can still have a woman that you allow her to grow in her own career without being intimidated or she's overtaking me.
Maybe so like we actually had ladies recently who had talked about this in length. So sometimes it's not in a case of intimidation.
Okay.
From those ladies' perspective, it was actually a case of them not then respecting their partners.
Yes.
Because now they're doing better. And for them, they were saying that it's easier for them to submit. They say naturally it's easier to submit to a man who's providing, who's doing better.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what they just honestly said. That was their honest opinion when they came through. And I guess us with the notion of, I mean, we've grown up being told that you're a provider, you're a protector. So naturally, as a man, you want to be create that provision. And
it is an excellent point, right? That's how we grew up. But the world has become so materialistic. And I take your point. You can be a leader without being the one bringing in the money into the family. You can still be the leader. You can still have that position. But the world is so materialistic at the moment that you get judged. Even if your partner is not judging you, people outside will judge you. And those pressures, not everyone can handle them. People judging your partner, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. And that's how some of these issues come up.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and the famous "what do you bring to the table?"
The
men throws a bag of money on the table, and the ladies just throw themselves on the table.
But I feel like two people together, if they are working together, they can achieve a lot together. Because let me just say you are earning 70,000 as a salary. Or let me take it to 100,000. You are earning 100,000 as a salary. It means if somebody is married to you, you can only achieve a house which you are paying around 30,000.
Yeah, practically.
Yeah, that's what you can do. But if you have somebody who's also bringing an income of another 100,000, which means together you can be able to have a house of 6 million, where you are paying around 60,000, which puts you in an advantage as a family. So I've seen families that are running quicker because of working together to say, obviously they will have their own arrangements to say, I'm paying for the house, you are paying for just your car and grocery and whatever arrangements they have here. But I feel like when you come together as a couple and you collaborate into investment and into managing the money together, it becomes beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds like a book.
You know what women say. Women say, they say, your money is our money. My money is mine.
We need to bring Percy when we've got female guests.
Yes, it'll be a very interesting conversation.
It will be a lot.
It will be hectic. So was there any other advice you gave to ladies on that chapter that we haven't?
I was just saying, as a lady, you can be the first one. If you are from Venda, you can be the first one to be in a certain career where we usually don't have anyone at Venda who was doing the same thing. Okay. And you can be even the first one to start a specific company, which is not common to say a woman can run this kind of a company. So there's nothing limiting you from dreaming and achieving great things.
Okay, well, that's great. That's something that I'll definitely share with my daughter. Then the letter to the gents, boss.
So this is the interesting one because this is when he tells us to live below our means.
So I'd say it's my favorite chapter. As you know, some of the things you touched on in that chapter resonate with what the African male iris is all about, what the podcast has been speaking to There's aspects of mental health, addiction, and basically it all boils down to the pressures that men are under.
Yes, you're right.
100%.
Yeah, so
On a daily basis.
I really enjoyed that chapter, and
thank you.
go ahead with the question.
Definitely. Thanks for that. This one caught me, this statement. Say, forget the pressure of attention. I think I need to repeat that. Forget the pressure of attention. Put effort into building yourself and having an investment portfolio. Then the attention will come. That is golden.
Oh yeah.
Because
Takes a lot of discipline as well.
a lot of discipline, because we tend to want the attention so quickly.
Yes.
Then you push up those expenses. Well, you were saying the expenses and savings. So you concentrate on looking good, buying the latest clothes, driving the nicest cars.
Yes.
But on the hindsight, if if you're working and let's say you lose your job today, are you going to survive? How are you going to survive in the months to come?
How soon will you lose?
I always say the same thing to say for most people, if they can lose their job now, they have to go back to the village the next month.
Oh yeah.
Immediately the next month you cannot afford
can't
to
afford
be
anything.
in Gauteng anymore. Which for me I feel like it's wrong, especially for somebody who has been working for so many years. You say I've been working for 7 years, but you cannot buy yourself even a month outside your salary.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like we should be in a place where you can say, I can buy myself a year if possible. To say I can still stay in Joburg for a year without receiving an income while I'm looking for other opportunities. Yes.
So how do you put a mute button on consumerism? Because every single second that we're out there on TV or walking around or whatever
social
it is,
media,
you're being pushed to consume.
Oh yeah.
Companies are paying billions of dollars
to
advertise to make sure that you consume their products and services. How do you put a mute button on that?
I think it's about having an oversight of seeing where you want to go. Like you it's like having a plan in your mind. It's like when you are walking around, you see somewhere the right parking coming soon.
Oh yeah,
they put a warehouse there, and then you already have a plan in your mind to say this is where I want to go. And then at the moment you are just waking yourself to the place where you want to go. So whatever distraction that comes around you, which doesn't take you where you want to go, you ignore. Yeah. So I feel like it's that. And also the issue that he was talking about to say you must run away from instant gratification where you want things to happen today. Because if you want to build something strong, you have to spend so much time on the foundation where people cannot even see. So those are the places where you must invest most of your time to say, I'm working to build a stronger investment so that in the future, I can be able to achieve great things, because there's nothing wrong with wearing expensive clothes. There's nothing wrong with driving an expensive car. There's nothing wrong with any of those. It's a matter of saying if those things are being paid by your salary is going to grow weaker and weaker. But if you start an investment on the side that is going to finance all those things that you want, then you won't even feel it. You'll be living a life where you are not even feeling the fancy life that you are living. Yes.
Okay. All right. So naturally, the progression towards investment is cut down on the unnecessary.
Yes.
So that you can have a little bit of some savings.
Yes.
And then turn those savings into or use those savings towards investments.
Exactly.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make. We don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. African man.